Hey yo, Stevo. What's going on YouTube? How y'all doing, man? So look, we're gonna go over 3 things that you should know before going into a job interview. Okay, so right off the foot, right? I'm just gonna talk real quickly on what a job is wanting and looking for, right? So they need a job is a business, right? Everybody knows job business. It needs a team. It needs a team of people that align with that job's core values and their mission, right? The whole goal is to make money, right? Keep customers and maintain keeping a steady flow of income throughout the business, right? Making a business successful, growing a business, stuff like that. So you as the individual, right? Before you apply that job, right? I mean, one, make sure you have the skill sets for that job. If you don't, figure out what you do have that can contribute to the skill sets that you need for that job, right? So in other words, if you ain't never worked in that type of environment before, but you worked in another type of environment that got some of the skills that can match up with that one, then go ahead and mention that, right? Because you want to align everything you do. You want to make sure you align your core values with them. So quick little tip to research that company. Research them, look them up, see what their mission is, see what they about, see what the staff members look like. You can just Google them, put them on, type them in Google, go through their website, see how long they've been running. You can even look up reviews on them if you want. That's up to the individual. But yeah, you want to make sure you know what they're about, what they're doing. They're going to tell you anyway, again, on the interview. But the reason I say look them up is because you want to align some questions, right? I say have at least maybe 3 or more questions. You want to make it seem like you're interested. So definitely ask them questions. But yeah, touching on my first point, make sure you know yourself, right? Make sure you know yourself. When I say know yourself, right, I'm not talking like, oh, when they say, tell me a little bit more about yourself, or I was kind of want to get to know you. Let me hear let me hear who this person is, right? When they ask you that, you want to make sure you will make sure you give first core values about yourself, right? And them core values you want to make sure aligns with their company and their mission. And you will make sure that core value about yourself is a value that's a characteristic that can bring value to their company. So in other words, they say, tell me about yourself. Oh, I like going to clubs and partying, right? Or, I like music and playing games, right? That's cool and all, right? That's cool. That they do want to know you personally on that level, right? They do want to know that. But they don't want to know just that. Like you say just that, oh, I'm a person I like hanging out with friends and going to beaches, right? That's cool, but it don't tell them nothing about how you can bring value to their company. That's the worst thing they want to do is bring value, is bring somebody on the team, and this person brought no value. You cost them more than you made for them. So when I say know yourself, know your core values. Who are you? Are you a hard worker? Do you thrive under pressure? Do you like fast-paced environments? Do you work as a team? Can you work as a team player? Are you big on teams? Right? So when you say know about yourself, instead of I like going out and hanging out with friends, right? I'm very into the sports, the team player aspect, right? I'm very into creating a brotherhood and working together as one, right? You want to make sure you thrive as a team. That's what most jobs are. Like it's a team. You want to be a team player base, right? And this is for people, beginning, if you don't know, right? So yeah, you want to make sure you really like hammer that in the head that you're a hard worker, and you're a team player, and you bring value to people around you, right? You want to make sure you can also add, you know, you lead if you got any type of leadership qualities, you've been in leadership positions, you volunteered for stuff, you know, you're willing to help. Anything that you want to do to make their company better, right? You want to add, you know, especially discipline, you're hardworking, you know, and then you want to look them in the face and notice. Don't be sitting there thinking about it, wonder off in his face, you know, oh, what should I, you know, I don't know, I've worked a couple jobs before, you know, I could work hard. You know, you don't want to do that. You want to, hey, look, I'm disciplined, I'm hardworking, I'm a team player, I can bring success to people. You know, you want to just notice. It sounds better when you can just say it off of just the heart and just speak it clearly as you can, right? So, you know, if you got to practice it, talk it to yourself. Say it to yourself, you know. Say it to yourself a couple of times. Right? Just make sure you know yourself off the rip. You're able to just go in as soon as they ask that question. Because 9 times out of 10, most jobs are asking you who you are, right? They don't want to just, hey, this is what we do, what skills you have, you're hired. They're not going to do that. Most likely it's who are you, right? Yeah. So maybe the ones that you can get into easily, they're probably not, you know, they hire anybody, it don't matter. But the ones that want people specifically that's worth it, so they're gonna ask. So yeah, that's my first point. And I went too long. I know I went a long time on that point, but that's an extremely big point that you want to get first. Okay. Then my second point goes into now that you said who you are, know your skills. Know your skills you picked up, right? So when you say skills, being a hard worker, unfortunately, is not a skill that you want to mention, right? That's more of a characteristic. Anybody can be a hard worker, right? Not everybody's a hard worker, but anybody can be a hard worker, if you know what I'm saying. But a skill is something you develop over time, right? Oh, I've worked sales for a year or two. You know, I've built fences and tables and carpentry for a year, you know, I've delivered, work delivery. I know how to deliver and move routes. I've been in leadership and management position, and I've led a team to success. You know, stuff like that you want to mention as a skill. Cooking, cooking skills. You know, in my opinion, customer service and sales are the two biggest things you need to have as skill sets. You damn near can get any job you want off of them two skills. Anything with customer service and sales. That's probably the biggest skill you want to have in anything, especially sales. What thrives a company? How does a company thrive in making money? They need customers. And how to get customers? You need sales. So, you know. But even if you don't have these skill sets, be willing to learn. Make sure you emphasize that you're willing to learn and thrive off them. So, you know, that's my touch on that. But yeah, your skill sets. So, yeah, make sure you have them too. So once again, who you are, know who you are, and then know your skill sets. last thing I want to touch on is I already mentioned the questions. I already mentioned definitely ask questions. Definitely listen. Make sure you listen to what they're saying so you're not repeating the question they ask or something like that. But the last thing for me, confidence. Talk like you got the job. Go into that interview like you own the job, right? Nah. When I say that, don't get too cocky about it. Yo, what's up, dog? Hey, yeah, my nigga, yeah. Hey, I'm focusing on my, yeah. Me and the bros, we go out, I like drinking and, fucking hoes and, don't be on that, but you wanna speak in confidence, like I said, and that kind of follows along with the other 2 points I made. But yes, talk in a way. Make sure you are great at communication. Which that probably would have been my third point, is improve your communication skills and how you express things. And what do you do? Do you look them in the eyes when you talk? Do you talk with your hands more? Do you smile? Your body language. They're reading all of that from you. They're trying to get a good grasp. They're listening to what you're saying, but they're trying to get a good grasp of how you move. And, so make sure, your posture's good. You're sitting upright. You're not leaning back slouch. You're not coming in all tore up. Make sure you're attired, you're dressing right, you're getting your haircuts. Or if you're a girl, you're getting your hair done. So make sure you show confidence. So, man, good luck out there, man. I know they laying people off a lot out here. It's getting kind of hard out here, man. So, I just want to share my little 3 cents, my little 3 tips on here. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.